Welcome to another far-reaching conversation. Today we're going to be looking at the world of government contracts and acronyms,
Specifically.
specifically the Federal Acquisition Regulation, or as we're going to call it today, FAR.
The FAR.
You probably heard of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just like a document.
It's a whole set of rules
Yeah.
that govern how the U.S. government buys.
Everything.
Everything from office supplies to, complex weapon systems.
So we're aiming for like a concise overview of the FAR today, hitting the key definitions and concepts.
Sounds good, like a crash course in understanding the language of government contracting.
Exactly. And we have two sources that define all these terms.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Which is super helpful because the FAR itself can be pretty dense.
Oh, it can be.
So let's jump right in.
Okay.
What exactly is the FAR?
Yeah.
And why should anyone care about it?
The FAR lays out the rules of the game for anyone who wants to do business with the federal government. Covers the entire acquisition process from planning a purchase all the way through to managing the contract after it's been awarded.
Okay, so our sources keep mentioning Part 2 of the FAR.
Part 2.
Yeah, what's so special about it?
Part 2 is essentially the glossary
Okay.
of the FAR.
Okay.
It defines all the key terms so that everyone involved is on the same page.
Oh, so that's why it's so important.
Yeah.
Both sources really emphasize how important, clear definitions are.
Yeah.
For example,
Like,
what exactly counts as a commercial item?
oh, that's a crucial one.
Yeah.
The government always prefers to buy off-the-shelf solutions whenever possible.
Makes sense.
So if your product or service is already sold commercially, it can significantly streamline the acquisition process.
And our sources lay out the criteria for what qualifies as a commercial item, like whether it's offered competitively, has market-based pricing, and uses standard terms and conditions.
That's right.
So understanding that is a smart move for any business hoping to work with the government.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of other key definitions
Hell yeah.
that are important to grasp.
Yeah, what?
Like, what is bundling and how does it impact competition?
Yeah, one of our sources points out that bundling can make it harder for small businesses to compete for government contracts.
Right. Bundling is when the government combines multiple smaller requirements into one larger contract.
Okay.
While it might seem efficient on the surface, it can unintentionally shut out smaller companies who might only be able to handle a piece of the project.
And that's where terms like small business teaming arrangement come in.
Yes.
Which our source defines as a way for smaller businesses to join forces and go after those larger opportunities.
Exactly. The FAR strives to create a level playing field, and definitions like these are crucial for achieving that.
We also see definitions for things like sustainable acquisition, which seems to be a growing focus across all industries these days, not just in government.
It is, and the FAR reflects that shift. It defines sustainable acquisition as acquiring products and services that minimize environmental impact and promote social responsibility.
So it's about making responsible choices that benefit both the government and the planet.
That's right.
Okay. Our sources also define terms like information technology and inherently governmental functions.
Right. Information technology is defined very specifically, focusing on computers, software, and related resources.
Okay.
And inherently, governmental functions are tasks that must be performed by government personnel.
Got it.
Ensuring government control over essential functions.
So it sounds like the FARs is all about clarity and precision, ensuring that everyone understands the rules and expectations.
It really is. And while it might seem overwhelming at first, having a grasp of these core definitions goes a long way in demystifying the world of government contracting.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think we've
Got it good.
got a good foundation now.
Yeah, a good start.
Yeah. So,
Let's take a quick break.
and we'll come back and delve into some more of these key definitions.
Sounds good. A good understanding of the definitions makes a big difference.
Right. It's like learning the lingo
Exactly.
before you can jump into a conversation.
So let's keep going through some of these definitions.
Okay.
One that I thought was interesting was micro-purchase.
Micro-purchase.
It sounds kind of cute,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing it's more than just like buying miniature office supplies.
Yeah, you're right. It actually refers to a simplified acquisition process
Okay.
for purchases under a certain dollar threshold.
Oh, okay.
One of our sources mentions that it's typically $10,000,
Okay.
but that can vary.
Makes sense. It's like an express lane for smaller government purchases.
Right. They probably don't want to go through a ton of red tape
Right.
for every stapler or box of paper
Yeah,
clips.
exactly.
And even for these smaller purchases, the FARDIS still emphasizes things like competition and fairness.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, now, shifting gears a bit, Let's talk about cost or pricing data.
Cost or pricing data.
It sounds pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
but I'm betting there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, it's not just about like putting a price tag on something.
Right.
It's about providing detailed information that justifies the price and allows for fair negotiations.
So the government wants to make sure that they're getting a good deal.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that taxpayer dollars are being spent responsibly.
Right.
So contractors need to be able to like back up their pricing with solid data.
Transparency and accountability are key.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about public funds.
Absolutely.
What about source selection information?
Oh, that sounds like something out of a spy movie.
I know.
Well, it's definitely sensitive information.
Okay.
It refers to all the data that's used to evaluate bids or proposals from potential contractors.
So things like the evaluation criteria rankings of the proposal's past performance data.
All of that.
So keeping that information confidential is crucial
Very
to
much.
ensure a fair and unbiased selection process.
It protects the integrity of the entire acquisition process.
Okay, now let's dive into the world of contract clauses.
Contract clauses.
They sound a bit like the fine print
Right.
we all dread,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm guessing they play a pretty important role.
They do. They absolutely do.
Correct.
Contract clauses are specific terms and conditions that apply to a particular contract.
Okay.
They cover a wide range of topics, everything from payment schedules to dispute resolution.
So it's all about setting clear expectations up front.
Exactly.
And our sources mention that some clauses are required by the FAR,
Yes,
while others are optional.
that's right. The FAR provides a library of standard clauses that agencies can choose from depending on the specific needs of the contract.
So it's like a toolbox
Yeah.
of building blocks for creating contracts.
I like that.
Now, what about interagency acquisitions?
Interagency acquisitions.
Is that when different government agencies do business with each other?
It's a way for one agency to leverage the expertise or resources of another agency, streamlining the process and avoiding duplication of effort.
So, for example, if the Department of Defense needed some IT support,
Yes,
they could tap into the expertise of the General Services Administration.
exactly. It's all about collaboration and efficiency within the government.
Our sources also touch on multiple award contracts,
Uh-huh.
which sounds like a way to spread the love among different contractors.
It does. What it means is awarding a contract to two or more companies from the same solicitation.
Okay.
This gives the government flexibility in ordering supplies or services and helps to promote competition.
So instead of putting all their eggs in one basket,
Right.
the government can have multiple vendors to choose from.
Precisely. It ensures they have access to a wider range of solutions and helps to keep prices competitive.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the social and economic considerations
Okay.
embedded in the FAR.
Okay.
It's not just about the bottom line, right?
It's not, and looks like the FAR has a whole section dedicated to these considerations.
Oh, wow.
It does. The FAR recognizes the importance of supporting small businesses,
Okay.
disadvantaged groups, and veteran-owned businesses.
So it's about creating opportunities for businesses that might not otherwise have a chance to compete.
Exactly. It's about leveling the playing field
Right.
and promoting economic growth in a way that benefits a wider range of businesses and individuals.
And it seems like the FAR also encourages collaboration among these businesses
It does.
through the small business teaming arrangement definition we talked about earlier.
Right, that allows smaller companies to pool their resources and expertise
Okay.
to go after those larger, more complex contracts.
So it's a win-win.
It is.
Small businesses get a shot at bigger opportunities.
Yeah,
And the government benefits from a broader pool of talent and innovation.
absolutely.
And what about technical data?
Technical data.
Is that just a fancy way of saying information?
It is information, but with a specific focus.
Okay.
It refers to recorded information of a scientific or technical nature that's essential for developing and maintaining complex systems.
So we're talking about things like blueprints, engineering specifications, that sort of thing.
Exactly. That type of information is crucial for ensuring the proper functioning and maintenance of many of the products and systems the government acquires.
Makes sense. Our sources also highlight the growing importance of sustainable acquisition in the FAR.
Sustainable acquisition, yeah.
It seems like that's becoming a bigger focus across all sectors.
Absolutely. And the FAR definition of sustainable acquisition emphasizes acquiring products and services that minimize environmental impact and promote social responsibility.
So it's about making choices that benefit not only the government, but also the planet and society as a whole.
Precisely. It's a more holistic approach to acquisition, considering a wider range of factors beyond just cost and efficiency.
Okay, one last definition that I found particularly interesting is inherently governmental functions.
Inherently governmental functions.
That one sounds important, but also a bit vague.
It's crucial. It defines which tasks must be performed by government personnel and which can be contracted out to private companies.
So it's all about maintaining government control
Exactly.
over essential functions,
Right.
ensuring accountability.
Things like policymaking, national security, and law enforcement would all fall under this category.
Those are core functions that the government can't delegate to outside entities.
Exactly.
It makes sense that they would have a specific definition for that in the FAR.
Absolutely. It's about drawing a clear line between what the government must handle directly and what it can outsource to private contractors.
It sounds like we've covered a lot of ground here. And hopefully this overview of key FAR definitions has provided a solid foundation for understanding this complex but essential set of rules.
It really is a complex set of rules, but hopefully this has shed some light on it.
So to wrap things up,
Okay.
what would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners today?
I would say the FAR may seem intimidating at first,
Yeah.
but ultimately it's about ensuring a fair and transparent process for government contracting.
Okay.
So whether you're a business owner looking to work with the government or just a taxpayer concerned about how your dollars are being spent,
Right.
understanding the basics of the FAR can really be empowering.
I completely agree. Thanks for listening. And please subscribe.